the immigration battle front and center as the first wave of the caravan is met with violence in Tijuana, Mexico. Local residents clashing with the migrants and chanting this. And potential 2020 hopeful Kamala Harris facing backlash after this exchange during a confirmation hearing for the nominee to head ICE.
Are you aware of the perception of many about how the power and the discretion at ICE is being used to enforce the laws? And do you see any parallels?
I do not see any parallels between sworn
I'm talking about perception.
officers and agents.
I'm talking about perception.
I do not see a parallel between what is constitutionally mandated as it relates to enforcing the law.
Are you aware that there's a perception?
I see no.
Are you aware that there's a perception
that puts ICE in the same category as the KKK? Is that what you're asking me?
No, I'm very specific about what I'm asking. Are you aware that there's a perception that ICE is administering its power in a way that is causing fear and intimidation, particularly among immigrants?
All right. He kept his cool there, Greg.
Yeah, that was a really, I respect her, but I thought that was a very sleazy move. It's a way of asking a question without asking a question. Some would say, Jesse, that you drink heavily. Not me, but some would say. That's what she did. She said there is a perception of, what would you say to the perception? And the thing is, the only reason why the perception would exist is because she is laying the perception out there. You know, some may say that ICE is like the KKK. You are the sum, but you are too cowardly to admit that you are the sum. So I thought that stunk to high heaven. And he answered it correctly.
Again, he's trying to get confirmed to be the head.
By the way, I don't think that you drink heavily.
Yeah, if there's a perception that I drink heavily, I just want to shoot that down.
I just saw you in my eye line.
Very heavily.
No, he doesn't.
This show's getting off to a great start.
No, we're all kidding.
Happy Friday.
Some would say your hair is beautiful, Jesse.
Some would say it's your turn to talk.
Okay. First of all, Kamala, what she did, I agree. You can't frame the question as guilt by association. I could say there's a perception that Democrats are pro-crime. And there's a perception that the Democrats...
Like we just turned totally different.
And there's a perception that the Democrats are open borders. And that's actually, there's more of a perception than that, than there's a perception that ICE is akin to the KKK. Now, she needs to go, her history books. The KKK terrorized the South for decades and hung innocent African Americans. They were supported by the Democratic Party, okay? She, African-American senator, should know that, and that comparison is so outlandish and so disrespectful to the ICE agents that are just doing their job. You know who's really scared of ICE and who should be scared? Human traffickers, drug traffickers, criminal illegals that have skipped bail and are now still in the United States. Those people should fear ICE, and there's a good reason for that.
Marie,
I will say, though, that there is a perception we have seen, not based on what Senator Harris said, but based on real people who have come into contact with ICE, who are either trying to claim asylum, who've had their...
Compare them to the KKK?
I'm not making that comparison. Okay. But where she took the question was, are you aware there's a perception that people are scared? When these people have had their children taken from them, some of them don't know where they are, some of the adults have been deported back without their children. I think it's a completely fair question to ask him.
She asked it incorrectly.
Right.
But I think...
She inserted the KKK when she didn't need to do that.
That's fine, and I think she's well aware of the history of the KKK, I should say, Jesse.
She should be more responsible with her analogies.
But let me say, you're focusing on that piece of it. The question that we heard her say when she expanded on it, when she went back and drilled back down, was a completely fair question. There are a lot of people today who are scared of ICE, who are fearful because some of the stories are quite frankly
because she's a lawyer,
and he should be able to answer that question.
And if she had said that in a court of law, don't you think someone was like, objection?
Well, yes, but
sustained.
And people might have that perception because of her rhetoric.
No,
right?
because of their actions.
But
so they act like the KKK?
Let's remember that on the border, it's not ICE that is separating families. It's the Customs and Border Protection, right? ICE goes after people who are, it goes after MS-13 in the interior of the country, illegal aliens who are engaging in money laundering and drug trafficking. That's interior work. They're, in fact, saving the immigrant communities from these beasts that target them, like MS-13. So they're the ones who are, helping the average American in general, certainly immigrant Americans. So she doesn't even really know what ICE is doing. But
she does.
But let's make it clear, this is posturing for 2020.
Well, she knows exactly what she's doing.
I have a perception she's running for president.
But let me add that this also was it felt like the Kavanaugh hearing. And it's the same attitude, the same insulting approach, the same innuendo. Americans didn't like the Kavanaugh hearing. They're not going to like, if this is what they're going to continue to do for 2 years, it will backfire.
Everything can't be criticize it and then say this is like Kavanaugh. Okay?
But it is. That's
just like Kavanaugh.
There are criticisms of ICE that cross party boundaries. It's okay. He's up for the position. He should get asked tough questions. And ICE doesn't.
Real ones.
ICE is getting getting unfairly smeared by the media. Come on.
They save people's lives, and they save the lives of immigrants.
They
and
also
young
do some
women.
things wrong, and they do these huge roundups of immigrants across the country in the interior.
Criminal immigrants where there are warrants and that they're
not
looking
true.
for
They
them.
have expanded their power beyond what they used to have, and there are whole immigrant. And you know what? If what you're saying, Tammy, is true, if that's true, he could have taken that opportunity to say, I understand there are these false fears out there. Here's why they're not true.
Marie, like Kavanaugh.
No.
She's comparing it to KKK. He's like, what the hell's going on here?
He could have actually batted down some of these theories if he doesn't think they're true.
I would have
Instead of
flipped
just
out.
saying, I don't know what you're talking about. He
did a pretty good job.
I
would have
think
flipped
he
out,
did.
Marie. So would you.
No, he held his composure.
I don't think he did.
Marie, he held his composure like you used to at the podium of the State Department. We're going to switch gears
Ooh,
now
nice
to the
transition.
ongoing
Yes.
fight.
A segue.
Thank you very much.
Excellent.
People say I'm good at that. All right, there's an ongoing fight, as you know, between the White House, CNN's Jim Acosta, and earlier today, a judge ruled that the Trump administration must reinstate his press pass. Chris Wallace is sitting down with President Trump this weekend for Fox News Sunday. He asked him about these latest developments. Watch this.
What they said, though, is that we have to create rules and regulations for conduct, et cetera, et cetera. We're doing that. We're going to write them up right now. It's not a big deal. And if he misbehaves, we'll throw him out. Or we'll stop the news conference.
What are your rules going to be? What is it that you're saying?
They're doing them now.
This is over the line, and you lose your
they're
press
doing
pass.
them now. I mean, we'll have rules of decorum. You can't keep asking questions. We had a lot of reporters in that room, many reporters in that room, and they were unable to ask questions because this guy gets up and starts, doing what he's supposed to be doing for him and for CNN, and just shouting out questions and making statements too. But I will say this: look. Nobody believes in the First Amendment more than I do. And if I think somebody's acting out of sorts, I will leave. I'll say, thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate you coming, and I'll leave.
All right, Greg.
This is so perfect because what this is about is a violation of the Fifth Amendment, which is a right to due process like Kavanaugh. Here's the point.
I will regret saying that forever.
So the media is now up in arms over the violation of due process because a guy lost his hard pass, even though he had a daily pass. But they were seemingly very silent when a guy lost his due process when he was accused of a sexual assault from 35 years ago. By the way, I'm for due process for everything, okay? So I think I'm glad that they're finally saying, hey, due process, good thing.
Oh, yes, we love due process. The judge did not rule, Jesse, on the First Amendment issue. It was this Fifth Amendment issue. Sounds to me, though, that the White House is saying, okay, we've made our point, and Acosta is going to be Acosta, but he might not be well thought of by his colleagues.
It's definitely time to move on, considering the judge that made the ruling was a Trump-appointed judge.
Well, he's just ruling on the law.
Exactly, but there's not an argument to say, oh, this is an Obama-appointed judge. Of course, I think everybody's willing now to take a step back. I'm just glad that Donald Trump is restoring decorum and civility to the White House. It's about time, because the Democrats and the reporters have been really running wild and have been disrespecting the traditions that we so hold dear in this republic. And it's just, I'm glad that this is being restored.
I mean, I don't know why I'm laughing.
What's so funny?
I could not agree more.
Acosta was not respecting the dignity of the White House.
Is Donald Trump going to have to start respecting the dignity of the White House? Is he going to have to start acting with decorum when he's in the press briefing?
Is there a perception that there's not?
Was he not? What was he not doing?
when
that
he
was...
cuts people off, when he calls them stupid and rude, is he going to have to start playing by some rules too?
I don't think
About
he's
how he
broken any
treats people?
rules. I think he was fine. And he said, if anybody acts up, we're going to boot him.
It was sort of weird, Tammy, to watch. Like,
Thomas
the
Jefferson
hero's
booted a lot of
welcome.
reporters back in the day.
Yep.
Look it up.
Look it
He
up.
said Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah.
Jesse is on a history tear tonight.
Look, this is good.
Jefferson pulled a lot of hard passes.
Here's what we know. Dana, you've mentioned that his colleagues, the colleagues don't like what he does, and now they're going to be the ones who are, in a way, going to have to be in charge to get the little child to sit down. Otherwise, the entire thing will end, and I think that's the power of the presidency. It's a perfect way to handle it, and there'll be...
I think they're going to put him in the deep freeze. That's my recommendation.
Yeah,
you ever put anybody in the deep freeze?
We had to kick someone off the plane once.
No, that's not the deep freeze, though.
No.
Oh, who was it?
He pushed them off the plane.
David, was it David Gregory?
No.
It was David Gregory, wasn't it?
It was not.
He had some fun pills.
It was not.
No. Okay.